Okay, we're on lesson 6. This is page 77. And the exercise 2. These are some verses from Buddha. I'll read first in Pali and translate and explain. Yatapi chando vimalo gachang akasa dhatu ya sabe tara gane loke abhaya ati Tadeva stira sampano sado purisa pugalo sabe macharino loke chagena atirochati. Okay, yatapi means, or actually yata means just as, and it often is used to introduce a simile. So yatapi is the same meaning. The P indicates that there will be a series of similes. Okay, chando means what?
Moon.
Moon. And vimalo?
Clear.
Yeah, vimalo means
Right.
bright, clear. Literally, mala is a stain or defilement. And vimala means without stains, without defilements, without blemish, without a blemish. So it's the stainless moon. Okay, gachan, the note explains that this is the nominative singular of the present participle. It's the same as gachanto. And akasa dhatuya, here dhatuya is an indirect case of dhatu, which means element. So dhatuya, through the sky, through the space element. So just as the stainless moon moving through the space element, dhatuya, maybe I think it could be locative. That makes the best sense. Moving in the space, in the sky element, the space element. Sabe tara Okay, the verb is atirochati, which comes from rochati, means to shine, and atirochati, ati means to outdo. So atirochati is to outshine. And the indirect noun here is abhaya. This will be instrumental case of abha. Abha means light, radiance. Then the object is sabe taragane. Sabe means all. Taragane. Tara means star. And gana means collection, group, or host of stars. So it's a host of stars, groups of stars. So to take both lines together. Just as the spotless moon moving through the space element outshines with its radiance all the groups of stars in the world, and completing it, tat-deva. This is a contracted form of tata plus eva. Tat-deva means just so. And the two, yatapi, that is the relative, which introduces the simile, and tat-deva completes the simile by showing the object of comparison. Okay, so Tadeva Sila Sampano Santo Purisa Pugalo. Just so the person, Purisa Pugalo. Purisa usually means man or person. Pugalo, individual. But together they just mean person, individual person. Okay, just so the individual who is Sila Sampano, that is one who possesses virtue or good moral conduct. And then Saddho comes from Saddha. Saddha means faith or trust. And so Saddho is a person with Saddha, a person with trust or faith. And this person who is possessed of virtuous conduct, who has faith, he outshines Atirochati through his chagena, through his generosity. He outshines all the macharino, all of the miserly people in the world, all of the selfish people in the world. And this verse is chosen because macharino is an example of the declension on page 84 of the type of noun that ends with I-N. And with this type of noun you have to be a little careful because the nominative plural and genitive singular have the same form, macharino. But here the verb indicates that this is an accusative case. So to put everything together, just as the spotless moon moving through the space element outshines with its radiance all the groups of stars in the world, just so the person endowed with moral conduct, full of faith, outshines by his generosity all the miserly people in the world. And the next verse. Yatapi mego tanayam Biju mali satta kaku Kalang ninancha pureti Abhivasam vasumya Evam dasana sampano Samasambuddha savako Macharing adi ganhati Panchatanehi pandito. Okay, again, yatapi, just as. And mego means what?
Rain cloud.
Rain cloud. Tanayan, what does it mean?
Thunder.
Yeah, and what part of speech is this?
Nominative accusative.
It's a nominative. It's a nominative accusative, is it?
Yeah.
Isn't that like saying this is a hot, cold cup of water? What part of speech is it? What part?
What does it mean, what part?
Also, just like
what form? What form?
Thunder, rain, cold, cloud.
Yeah. I'm not asking the case. But what kind of, I don't know what word to use.
Subject of the sentence?
What particular form is this? Tanayam. Is it a verb, adjective, adverb?
Well, the book gave us tanayati, which is a verb.
Yeah.
And I don't know how it transfers to
This is
tana.
the conclusion of sentence?
No.
So my guess is one who is roaring.
Yeah, but what part of speech is that roaring?
Oh, okay. The cloud. The rain cloud.
The cloud is roaring. Yeah.
Right. The cloud.
The word for roaring is tanayan, but what part of speech is that?
What part of speech is that?
Say Joan?
She has the answer.
Adjective.
It has an adjectival function, but it's not precise enough.
Present participle?
That's it. Present participle. You would have the normal present participle would be tanayanto, but in verse, occasionally in prose perhaps, they use a shorter present participle, tanayan. Just like in the previous verse, you have gachan, akasadatiya. So we could have present participle, singular, nominative.
Is this an irregular form or is this a form we haven't learned yet?
It's a regular form.
It's a regular form.
It's just that the normal present participle is gachanto.
Right.
But occasionally, particularly in verse, a shorter form is used. Gachan. I think they should. I'm surprised that this must have been introduced already. Let's just see where they have. Yeah, page 37. At the top of the page where they have the box showing the declension of the present participle for gachati to go. They give the alternatives gachanto / gachan.
Okay.
Okay, so just as the rain clouds thundering, okay, then Viju Mali Satakaku. These are just like poetic description. Viju is lightning, and Mala is a garland. So Viju Mala would be a garland of lightning. Then one who possesses a garland is said to be Mali, or one who is wearing a garland. Malim. And in the masculine case, that becomes Mali. So this is a poetic description of the rain cloud as having a garland made up of flashes of lightning, just as a person might wear a flower garland. And Sata Kaku, Sata means 100, and Kaku means corner or point. So the rain cloud was a very complicated shape, so it's said to have 100 corners. Talam Ninancha Pureti. Okay, Tala means the high ground, and Nina is the low ground. And Pureti means to fill up. So it fills up, this rain cloud fills up both the high ground and the low ground with water. Abhivasam. That is from the verb abhivasati, to rain down. And what part of speech is this?
Present participle. Took us half an hour to figure this one out.
Really? And the Sundaram is what part of speech?
Sudaram Akusaji?
Yeah. It means, the meaning is
Earth.
the earth. So, raining down upon the earth, it fills up the high land and the low land. Evam dasana sampano samasambuddha savako macharingadi ganhati panchatanehi pandito. Okay, evam also completes the simile, just like tata. I mean, in the same way. In the same way, the disciple of the perfectly enlightened one, Sammasambuddha Savaka, Dasana Sampano, endowed, possessing vision or insight. In the same way, the disciple of the perfect Buddha, the Buddha's disciple who possesses insight, macharing adi ganhati panchatanehi pandito. Pandito also goes along with savako. So savako, pandito, sampano are all describing the subject of the sentence. And pandito means wise. So we say, just so the wise disciple of the perfect Buddha, the disciple who possesses insight, adiganhati, here has a sense of surpasses, macharing. This is, what case is this?
Accusative.
Accusative. So this disciple of the Buddha surpasses the miserly person, pancha tanehi, with respect to 5 things.
I'm sorry, so you said pandito
Yeah.
and dasanan and sampano all qualifying the perfectly enlightened one?
Not the perfectly enlightened one,
But the disciple.
But because this is a compound, Sammasambuddha Savako, so they have the same ending, nominative singular ending.
Right.
So those expressions are qualifying the disciple of the perfect Buddha. So just so the wise pandito, the wise disciple of the perfect Buddha, then you would have to say the disciple who possesses insight, dasana sampana, surpasses the miserly person, panchatanehi, that's instrumental case, meaning with 5 cases, or in 5 respects. In English we would say in 5 respects. And those 5 respects will come in the next verse. Ayuna yasta sa cheva vanena cha sukhena cha save boga pari vyuho hecha sage pamodati. Okay, so he surpasses the miserly person with respect to lifespan, because as a result of giving, then he will enjoy a long lifespan. Not necessarily in this life, but as a result of that karma, it could be in some future life. So this ayuna is an instrumental case. I'm not sure if the text explains. It's a rather unusual form. Actually, it's ayu is a masculine noun ending in u, so ayuna is the instrumental of that.
Masculine, not neuter?
Could also be neuter.
Oh, yeah. Okay, either way, right.
Did you find this in?
Yeah.
It could be taken in either way.
Right, either way.
It might be neuter, actually. But ayuna, it's the same whether it's masculine or neuter. Then yasasa, I'm not sure if the text explains.
Yasas.
It's one of these nouns belonging to the same class as manas. One of the rare Pali nouns ending in S. And so it takes its instrumental with the long A. Normally we would have the nominative yaso, Y-A-S-O. So it looks like it's a masculine, a normal masculine singular, but the stem form is not like Buddha, but rather the stem form ends in aya. So when you make the indirect cases, you would have to say yasa sa, you just have the ah. If you were to have a genitive, that would be yasa so. Okay, so he exceeds the miserly person with respect to long life. Yaso means fame or glory. Vanena with respect to beauty. And sukhena with respect to happiness. Save goga paribhyoho. This ve is just an emphatic, indeed, truly. He truly, paribhyoho would mean like equipped with wealth or objects of enjoyment. Pecha, do you know what part of speech pecha is? Could you figure that one out?
Adjective?
No. Let's see if the book tells. The book doesn't tell, but you might be able to figure it out.
There are two more choices then. It would be either past participle or it would be a gerund. I couldn't
It's a gerund. It can't be a past participle because past participles have to be declined. Well, I'll show you how you get the gerund. The noun is actually pa plus at. I don't know whether one ever sees the normal, simple, indicative form of the verb. But it forms the gerund. Actually, the root is I. And it forms the gerund by adding. I spoke too quickly, I don't remember how it's formed. But it definitely is a gerund form. And it means, okay, at means to go, sometimes to come, to go. Pa means forward, for. So pa plus at means to go forward, or in other words, to depart, in the sense of to pass on to the next life. And so pecha means having passed on to the next life. In fact, pecha is related to the word peta, which you might know in the Sanskrit form, preta, which means, commonly understood to mean the hungry ghost, the spirit. Was originally the word preta referred just to any person who was passed on to the next life, but then it came to refer more narrowly to a class of beings who, when they passed on, didn't quite wind up either in the heavens or back in the human world, but as a kind of semi-embodied spirit or ghost. I think it's plus you take the 8, and then you form the gerund by adding ya to the 8. That will give you 8 bit, and then the a drops off. And TYA turns into CCA. Just as in Paticca Samuppada, it's back formed in the same way as Pati plus the verb, the same root I plus YA, so it becomes Pati plus Pati plus Athya. Pati plus the root I plus the gerund ending YA. That means having dependent or dependent. Then that will give Pati plus Athya. But the I in this case drives the E away. And then in Pali you never have a T-Y combination. When you get T and Y come together, they form two C's. So that's how you get Paticha. I mean, having dependent.
What does that check mark mean? You have a check mark.
Well, it's not a check, it's
the root.
The root, the
Okay.
radical. The root is I plus the gerund ending YA.
Remember Dr. I?
Yeah, I see that on Dr. I all the time.
Yeah, that's the root. That's what I mean.
So it means that we should follow the declension of I root. Is that right? Or I stem?
Yeah.
Okay.
The I is the actual root.
Of the word itself.
Yeah. It's I is the root, and it gives the simple indicative form ati, which means to come or to go.
Oh.
Okay, so we went a long way from the same. Okay. And so this person who exceeds in long life, fame, beauty, pleasure, provided with wealth or enjoyment, Techa, having passed away, having moved on to the next life, Sage Pamodati, he rejoices in heaven. Any questions?
The first verse, where we have Gachan, Yatapi Chando, Vimalo Gachan. The Gachan is qualifying the moon. Is that right? The moon is moving.
Yeah.
Okay. Because my original question was that Gachan is the masculine adjective, and my logical assumption is that it follows the next word, the akasa datuya, and that would be feminine. So we have a masculine and a feminine noun next to each other, but now you just qualified. You just told me that it qualifies the moon, so it makes sense.
Gachan is describing the moon.
Okay. And that's it.
Okay,
Now
no
question.
question. Okay, so we go on to the next question. Okay, prose is easier to do. Okay, Atako Selo Brahmano Tihi Manabhakta Satehi Paribhuto Yena Te Yasa Jati Rasa Asamo Te Upasankami. Okay, Atako just means then. The Brahmin named Selo, then Paribhuto means accompanied by. Then remember the explanation last week when you have a group of items in the hundreds, the word for 100 comes after the noun describing the item. And if it's several hundreds, say 300, then the word for 3 comes first, then the word for the type of item, in this case students, then the word 100. So the Brahmin Selo, accompanied by, or surrounded by 300 students. Then in Pali, when you go to a place, you don't simply go there, but you go to where the place is. So they use a strange, complex construction. Where the hermitage of the ascetic Kenya was, there he approached. Yena, etc. Yena asamo tain upasankami. We get so often at the beginning of a sutta, Attako Sade, Attako So Bhikkhu, Yena Bhagava tain upasankami. Then that monk approached the Blessed One, but it said, Yena Bhagava tain upasankami. Where the Blessed One was, there he approached. And upasankami is what type of verb is this? We had it in last week's lesson.
Aorist?
Aorist. Okay. Adasako selo brahmano Kania samaye jatile ape kache udanani kanante ape kache katani palente ape kache bhajanani dobante ape kache udakam manikam pati tapente ape kache asanani kundate Kaniam pranajatilam samanyeva mandalamalam patiyadentam. Okay, adasa is a verb. What form of the verb? I have to answer quickly. Something gives away. What kind of verb? It's a dead giveaway.
Past tense.
What kind?
Past tense.
What is a special word for past tense?
Or.
Right, it's the aorist. And what is the giveaway that it's an aorist?
It's the adasa. It's the adasa.
Basati. Past tense of the basati.
Yeah, but what indicates that it's the past tense?
I think the book called this adasa aorist, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
The augment, okay.
In first Pali class, if you have shining Roman with the augment, the A at the front of the verb. And it's rather unusual to have a verb coming as the first word in the sentence, but occasionally with special emphasis next time, particularly in the past tense description. Okay, so the Brahmin Sela saw the Jatilas. Jatilas were a type of ascetic who had long hair in knots, long knotted hair. And here the word Kaniya Samaye. I don't know if the book explained that. You see, it comes from, Kaniya is the name of the person, the ascetic. Asama means his hermitage. It's the same as the Pali of the Sanskrit ashram, or modern Hindi ashram. Okay, so Kaniya Asama is the ashram of Kaniya. But to make an adjective out of it, the A turns into IYA. And with this one. So this whole phrase becomes an adjective describing the Jatila ascetics, matted hair ascetics. So these are the ascetics who belong to the hermitage of Kaniya. So the Brahman Sela saw the ascetics belonging to Kaniya's hermitage. Then ape kache. Together this means some. A kache actually means some, but putting up APP in front of it, it indicates that there's going to be a chain description of different ascetics doing different things. Okay, so some udanani kanante. He saw some digging udana, are pit ovens for cooking. And then he saw some, This kanante, why is it ending in E?
Plural.
Plural, what case?
Accusative.
Accusative plural, right. Some katani palenti. Some were, palenti is splitting, katani wood. Some were splitting firewood. Some were bhajanani novante. Some were washing dishes, vessels. Ape kache udaka manikan pati tapenti. Some were setting up a water pot. Ape kache asanani panyapenti. Some were preparing seats. And Kanian Panajatiram Samanyeva Mandalamalam Patiyatanta. But the ascetic Kania Samanyeva means himself, was Patiyadantam, setting up, preparing Mandala Mala, that's like a pavilion. It's something like a circus tent, with a peak, high point, made of canvas, some material. Sometimes they make it out of bamboo with a light cloth. So it's a scene, this long chain description gives you a scene of a lot of activity, commotion going on. Okay, this vana, Kaniam Jatilang Etadavocha. Having seen this, and Dhisvana is what form?
Gerund.
Always you on you.
Oh, shut up. Okay.
Yeah, you shut up.
Hi.
Okay, Dhisvana, Kaniam Jatilang Etadavocha. Having seen this, who will translate the rest of it? Anyone to translate? Just that sentence. Not the quotation, just the Kaniam Jatilang Etadavocha. Okay, Sharon.
Having seen this, Jatilang says.
Say again?
Having seen this, Jatilang speaks or says.
You fell into the trap. Somebody else tried.
Say, past tense.
It's past tense.
Yeah, past of Jati.
But what case is Jatilang?
It's a nominative.
No. Jatilang is accusative.
Accusative.
Yeah. So now could somebody translate it? Jahan? Really? Oh. Wait, John? Oh, wait. Try. I know you do your homework very methodically.
Is there going to be venerable 10 years brides receiving wedding?
No, you're going further than I wanted. Just
having seen Kenya, the ascetic, is both the.
Actually, I understand it differently. I can see you could take it that way, but I understood it differently. I understood having seen everything above, having seen this, so this is implicit. He said this to Kania the ascetic.
Oh.
He said that having seen, he said this to Kania the ascetic.
So how will we know if it goes with this?
Well, I can see now that you can take it the other way too, having seen Kania the ascetic.
Right next to the gerund.
Yeah, I just realized it's a little ambiguous. But I would take it the way I suggested because there follows a conversation between the two. So the conversation would have to open with him saying something to Kania. Okay, but since Bowe started the next sentence, maybe continue with him. Bowe, just continue to read what you have.
Is there going to be venerable Kenya's bride receiving wedding, or bride sending off wedding?
Yeah.
Or big arms giving, or greeting, Magato, in the sorrow of Daniel clan. invited with the army for tomorrow?
Yeah. Okay, so Kim Nuk Ko, that sort of opens a question. Kim Nuk Ko. How is it? What is it? Boto, this Boto is that honorific form for Babang. I think we had it in this lesson in the grammar section. Yeah, on page 85. It's a genitive with a singular, the honorable or venerable Kenya. Is there for venerable Kenya Avaho, that's the bringing of a bride in a marriage. Or the Vivaho, that is when the bride is sent off from the parental home to the home of the husband's family. Mahayanyo is a great sacrifice.
Like sacrifice?
Yeah.
Not offering?
Well, you see, the word yanyo is used in two senses. Originally, amongst the Brahmins, it was used to mean a sacrifice.
Maha means great.
Great, Maha is great. A sacrifice where many animals would be killed. But then the Buddha took that word over, and then for his own relation to his own community, he reinterpreted yanyo to mean an alms offering. In the case of the Jati lives, I don't know what their practices were. So it could be understood in either way. Either a sacrifice or an alms offering. Or has a great alms offering, Pachu Patigo, been set up or been prepared? Or has King Sania Bimbisara of Magadha been invited, Nimantito, together with that studying Balakayena. Together with Balakayena means literally body of strength, body of power. But it means figuratively the army, together with his army. And you see, something is indeclinable, and it takes its object. In what case?
Instrumental?
Instrumental.
Sorry.
Kayena, Bala Kayena. Swatanaya means for the next day, particularly for the next day's meal. Then he answers, I'll just read the end of the sentence. It is not, literally, it is not for me, it will not be the bringing of a bride, nor will there be the sending off of a bride, nor has King Sania Bimbisara been invited together with his army for tomorrow's meal. Right, here you have to take it as an alms offering, Mahayanyo. But rather, for me, a great alms offering has been set up, or is being prepared. For Samano Gautama, that's the ascetic Gautama, Sakyaputo, the son of the Sakyan clan, Sakyakula Pabajito, who has gone forth, who has entered the homeless life from the Sakyan clan. Anguttara Pesu Charikam Charamano Mahata Bhikkhu Sangena. Okay, this expression Charikam Charamano is used very often in the suttas. It means like walking on tour. So not like a tourist going on tour, but it's the Buddha's practice during the dry season to go walking together with a large number of monks from town to town through the country. So he's been walking on tour among the people of Anguttarapa, that's some state in northeast India. together with a great or large company of monks, community of monks. And Apanang Anupato. Apanang is the name of the town, the nearest town. Anupato means arrive. So he has arrived at the town of Apana. And so may Nimantito Swatanaya Sading Bhikkhu Sandhenati. He has been invited by me for tomorrow's meal, together with his community of monks.
May I ask a question?
Yeah.
I don't understand the not may here.
Yeah, okay, that's
What
a
does
good
it mean?
question. Nam may.
The wedding is not for him, or?
It means that he's not, as an ascetic, he wouldn't be married himself, getting married himself.
But wouldn't he want to be participating in the alms offering?
He's going to be participating, you know.
But then there's not pay this, not pay that.
Yeah.
So if it's not may, I was thinking, not for me, I'm not doing this, I'm not doing that.
Yeah, he's not bringing a bride over. In other words, it's not like he has a daughter who's getting, a son who's getting married and they're bringing the daughter from the other family. It's not the case that he has a daughter that he's sending away in marriage.
Right.
Not the case that he's invited the king for the next day's meal. But apichako me maha yanyo pachu patido ati. But there is a great offering which has been prepared for by me. In other words, I'm making preparations for a great offering.
So the apicha
Yeah.
actually means he will go to this one but not the other one.
Right, right.
Oh, that makes it totally different.
The apichako is something like however.
However, okay.
Apicha, however, but.
So the next may would be the apichako may, meaning for me, I will go to the big almsgiving. Or for me, the almsgiving is presented.
It's being set up.
It's being set
in other words,
up.
he is setting up for preparing the great offering. Not for himself, but to give to the Buddha tomorrow, the next day.
Oh.
But he is the one, the may means by me.
By me, instrumental.
It could be instrumental or even for me. They live in the sense that they're doing all of the work, his pupils are doing all the work and setting up, making the preparations on his behalf, so he can make the offering tomorrow.
And the pachupati to,
Yeah.
that's past participle.
It's a past participle, but it's used here with ati, so it has a present sense.
Ati.
It has, what did I say? But a great offering has been set up by me.
By me. Okay.
Yeah. So he hasn't offered it yet, he'll do that the next day. But he's got all of the preparations made.
But in that case, the Samano Gautamo, isn't that the nominative, meaning the subject of the sentence? So
Next sentence.
The next
But-
sentence. Right.
But actually, you see, the next sentence has been a deletion, so that it throws off the grammar somewhat. The Samano Gautamo Sakiputo Sakipula Babajito and Gutara Paisu Charikam Charamano Mahatabiku Sangena.
Where's the verb?
The verb would have to be Apanang Anupato. While wandering on tour amongst the Anguttaras, together with a large company of monks, Anupato has arrived at Apana. He has arrived at Apana.
Okay.
Normally one would say Anupato hoti. That would be better grammatically. Anupato has arrived at Apana.
Okay.
And then the next, so may nimantito. He has been invited by me.
By me. Okay.
Remember last week when we went over the grammatical explanations, I pointed out
Yeah.
that in Pali, also Sanskrit, maybe this is why, they tend to be rather passive. They prefer to use this passive construction rather than to say that the subject did this, A did B, A did B to C. They say, this has been done to C by A. By A, this has been done to C. You see this formation explained, page 88. But when we translate into English, it's better to use an active construction. I have invited him.
Is may near the beginning of the sentence mostly mean this kind of situation? By me, something's done for me, something's done?
Yeah. May is called encletic form, which means that it comes inside the sentence. And it's always an indirect form of the pronoun. By me, for me, to me. Occasionally, by me, for me, to me.
May I ask another question?
Yeah.
Might as well. Charikan charamano.
Yeah.
I looked at the dictionary. Charikan is of the long A form.
Yeah.
Meaning it's feminine. It's a female form. And then I have charatimano. Oh, it's all charamano. Okay, I'm sorry. That's also feminine.
The charamano is masculine.
Masculine, right? Because it's the present participle.
Yeah, that describes
of charity.
That describes Gautama, the Buddha. Charamano is the action performed by Gautama, the Buddha. Okay, the ascetic Gautama, walking, wandering on charika. Charika means
the journey.
The journey, you could say.
Okay, that makes sense.
Charika, the nominative would be charika, that's a feminine noun. But here it's the accusative. So he's walking on tour.
I thought charimano is qualifying charikan.
No.
Okay.
Charikan is the object of the action.
Okay.
The Buddha, let's say, Buddho charikam chariti. The Buddha, charity, walks charika.
The journey.
On tour, on a tour. Okay, part of the passage I was deleted in this selection, the Jacuva Selo, or Kenya had mentioned the word Buddha. And so Senia then says, Selo says, Buddhoti bo Kenya vadesi. Bo Kenya, that means honorable Kenya. Venerable Kenya. Did you say Buddha? He was surprised to hear this word. Do you say Buddha? And then Kenya says, Buddhoti bo sela vadami. I say Buddha. Then he asks a second time. He can't believe it. Buddhoti bo Kenya vadesi. Do you say honorable Kenya? Do you say Buddha? And you see Buddhoti, that makes it like direct, like quotation marks. Buddhoti bo sela vadami. I do say honorable Sela. I do say Buddha. Then Sela says, Gosopi ko eso du labo lokasmin yadidam Buddha. Goso, normally it means voice, but here it seems to mean sound or word. So even this word is dulabo, rare. Literally it means hard to find, hard to gain. Even this word is rare in the world. that is Buddha. Any questions?
What does it mean? What does it mean
Even that
word is rare?
it means it's so difficult to hear even the word Buddha, that the very idea that now the Buddha is actually existing in the world and is going to be coming to this place for the next day's meal, it's just like unbelievable or inconceivable.
Are these two people Buddha's disciples?
Not yet. Not at this point.
Okay.
I think India must have had some conversation, meeting with the Buddha that day or some time just before this takes place, and then he would have invited the Buddha to come the next day for the meal. It's not clear whether he's become a Buddha's disciple or not. Maybe not. Sale at this point, of course, he's not yet a Buddha's disciple. He didn't even know that the Buddha exists. But as the sutra unfolds, Salo will question the Buddha about his attainments. Then the Buddha will answer him, and then Salo will gain faith in the Buddha. And together with all of his disciples, they become ordained as monks under the Buddha. And then they go off to meditate, and then they quickly become arhats. Then they return, and then they praise the Buddha with verses. This is in the Sutta Nipata. Also, I think it's in the Majjhima Nikaya also. I think I could do the next passage rather quickly. Shall we do it? Are you tired, or do you want me to do it? Okay, I'll do it. Quick. Unless you want to help me. But the sentences are pretty easy. Tve me bhikkhave pugala loke upajamana upajanti bahujana hitaya bahujana sukhaya bahuno janasa ataya hitaya sukhaya. Dve me. What does that mean? Yeah, here you have to be careful. Here the me is not for me, by me, to me, but the me is actually from dve ime. These two, pugala, person, loke upajamana, arising in the world, upajanti, arise, bahujana hitaya. Bahujana means many people. Hita means welfare. So these two persons arise in the world for the welfare of many people. Bahujana sukhaya, for the happiness of many people. Bahuno janasa ataya hitaya sukhaya. Ataya means for the good or benefit. So putting them all together, for the benefit, welfare and happiness of many people. What are the two? Katanete. Tathagato cha arahang samasambuddho. The Tathagata, Rulai.
Yeah, your intonation is greatly improved.
Arahant, the Tathagata, Tathagata, Arahat, perfectly enlightened one, and the king, who is Chakravati, the turner of the wheel. Okay, the king who is a turner of the wheel. That means a universal monarch, a world ruling emperor. And the next sentence just draws the conclusion. These two persons arising in the world arise for the welfare of many people, the happiness of many people, for the good, welfare, happiness of many people. The next, Today may be Pugala, loke upajamana upajanti acharya manusa. These two persons arising in the world arise. Here, this is also as a nominative, so we have to say something like they arise as wonderful men, marvelous men. What are the two? Again, the Tathagata and the world-ruling, wheel-turning Mana. Then, Dvinam Vikare Pugalanam Kala Kirya Bahuno Janasa Anuttapa Hoti. Kala Kirya means, what does it mean?
Proper. I'm not supposed to answer.
Yeah.
Passing
Death,
away.
passing away. So the passing away of two persons, anuttapa means to be regretted. There's something stronger. You say is lamented. You might say lamented by many people. Of what two? Again, the same two, except what case is this sentence now? Tathagatasa, Arahato. What is the case?
Thank you.
No. Wait, don't. The case. Yeah, Tathagatasa, it should be very obvious. I'm sure the newcomers to the Mass will be able to tell us. What case? Of genitive. Of many, of the death or passing away of two people, right? You just have to get familiar with these genitive forms. For Ranyo, that's from Raja, which means king. Genitive singular, Ranyo. And Chakabhati, the genitive Chakabatisa. Okay, then the next passage. Dve me bhikkhave tuparaha. Do they explain this? Yeah, the glossary gives you the word.
What is a stupa?
Yeah, you know what a stupa is?
The pagat, for radical.
Yeah.
Pagoda.
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 Pagoda, or
Stupa.
you call in Sri Lanka Dagaba, they call it Dagaba. Chaitya, sometimes they call it memorial. Okay, so there are these two who are worthy of a stupa. What are the two? Who are the two? The Tathagata, Arahat, Samat, perfectly enlightened one, and the wheel-turning Mana. These two are worthy of the stupa. Let us try finishing up these verses, and we'll finish this section. Tameva vacham vasaya yayatanam natapaye parejana vihingsaya save vacha subhasita. Okay, vasaya. What type of verb is this?
Present tense.
No, well, it's a type of present, but it's not the normal present. There's a special mood in the present. Go away. Right, optative, which means should speak. And the subject is left unstated, so one should speak. Tam eva vacha. The eva gives emphasis. It's tongue, that speech, but only that speech. One should speak only that speech. Yai atanam natapaye. Tapaye is also, it's a dative, optative. So it means, okay, the yaya here. What is the yaya? What function?
Y-A-Y? Of attention.
Wait, two people speak at the same time. Wait, John, could you speak?
Did you say Y-A-Y? Is that yai?
Yeah. What is it?
Nominative singular?
It's
Nominative?
not nominative, no. Okay, this is a little tricky. It's yaya. It's the instrumental of the, that goes with vacha. Ya vacha. So it means by with, through with. Let's see the language. Yeah, page 20. You have the ya, then the instrumental yaya. So the yaya here goes back to vacha. Vacha is actually feminine. So we have tongue vacha. That's the accusative of ta vacha. Well, it's actually sa vacha. Then the relative of this is the ya vacha. But then this would become instrumental, become yaya vachaya. But here you don't have to say vachaya, so it just becomes yaya. So by which one does not torment oneself, cause suffering for oneself. And tapaye, again it's optative, by which one would not afflict oneself. Parechana vihingsaya, and one would not injure or harm others. Pare. Pare here, this is accusative. Save vacha subhasita. That speech, that is indeed well-spoken speech. Subhasita means well-spoken. That speech indeed is well-spoken. The next verse. Piya vacha meva vaseya ya vacha patinandita. Okay, one should speak only piya vacham. Piya vacha means what?
Pleasant speech.
Right, pleasant speech. Ya vacha patinandita. Speech which patinandita. Yeah, speech which is, you say, welcomed by others or rejoiced in by others. Yang anadaya papani paresam vasati piya. One should speak. Let's take the verb first. Vasate. Actually, the fourth line in sen seems to come before the third line. One should speak what is dear to others. Piyam paresam. one should speak what is dear to others, yang anadaya papani, sense not so clear, which doesn't bring along evils, let's say, which doesn't entail evil consequences. Perhaps that's the sense.
Could you explain basate?
You mean why it ends in an E?
Yeah, I looked up the book, it says middle form, so I have to jump to a chapter much later, or a lesson much later. Well, what does it mean, middle form?
Yeah. It's a form which comes into Pali through Sanskrit, but it's much more common in Sanskrit than in Pali. Normally, it gets rather complicated. The middle verbs are verbs which are not they're intransitive. They don't take objects.
Okay.
Like we would say, in English we have to say, he enjoys himself. We have to put an object, he enjoys himself. But in Pali it would just be, in Sanskrit, so ramate, he enjoys, he rejoices. Okay, let's say he rejoices.
Okay.
So it's a verb in which the action doesn't pass from the subject to an object, but the action just remains sort of contained within the subject.
Okay.
So in Sanskrit, the distinction is quite rigorous between middle and active forms of the verb, and they have their own separate declension systems. In Pali, middle forms are very rare. One finds them almost only in verse, and the boundary line between active and middle forms gets punctured with holes. So active verbs like basati sometimes appear in middle forms.
Then what does it mean here? I think we can probably learn this in the appropriate lesson. But how do we translate this here?
It's just the same as you would with basati.
Oh.
You would speak.
See? Not shine forth?
No. Basati here, one should speak what is dear to others. Yeah, I can see it's a little confusing because in Pali you have two verbs which come out the same. Basati. One means to speak, the other means to shine.
Yeah.
In Sanskrit they would be different. Bhashati would be to speak, and basati would be to shine. So one couldn't mistake them in Sanskrit. But in Pali, all the S sounds get, Sanskrit has 3 S sounds. Sh, sh, sh. Sh, sh, s. In Pali, they all turn out to be s. So the distinction between basati to shine, basati to speak, vanishes. But just from the context, the verse is about speech, right? Not about suns and moons.
Well, I didn't know that's the same word.
Basati. Yeah, the glossary also gives you basati to speak. So one should speak what is dear to others, what doesn't take along or bring along evil, problems, what doesn't entail problems.
How about anadaya? Isn't that a gerund?
That's a gerund, is a negative gerund. Adaya is taking.
Right.
Without taking. So it's literally without taking evil.
One speak pleasure for others.
Yeah.
So piyan would be accusative.
Yeah.
Okay. Got it.
Like, yeah, one should speak what is pleasant to others.
Okay. One should speak what is pleasant to others.
Even this third line I find difficult to see exactly how it fits in. So we interpret it to mean what doesn't bring along problems for others, what doesn't entail difficulties or harm for others.
Okay. Thank you. Does it imply that one may speak one may take evil when one speaks pleasure for others, or speak pleasant things for others.
One could speak what is pleasant to others, but that pleasant speech could lead to harm for them. For example, a flatterer who has some ulterior motives in flattering another person. Maybe he wants to win the favor of a person and then take his money.
I understand
so
that.
Speak what's pleasant. You are such a wonderful person.
Flattery. Yeah.
Okay, the last verse. Sachang ve amata vacha esa dhammo sanantano sachayate chadame cha ahu santo patitita. Okay, Sachang is truth. Ve, indeed. Amitavacha, immortal speech. So truth, indeed, is immortal speech, deathless speech. Esadamo sanantano. This principle or law is everlasting, or ancient. This is an ancient principle, or eternal principle. Sache ate chadame cha ahu santo patitita. Here the ahu means they say, and the subject of it is not specified. So they say that the good, santo is plural, masculine plural, the good persons, the holy ones. They say that the holy ones were established, patitita, established in truth, sache, in ate, in meaning, or in goal, in good, in the good, and in dhamma, dhamme. So truth is indeed immortal speech. This is an eternal principle. They say that the good are established in truth, in the goal, and in the Dhamma. It's actually, I have to admit some of these verses are quite difficult.
Yeah.
Let's hope they have more closed passages, or simple verses.
The further readings are more difficult, I think, in chapter 6. Even more difficult.
Are you finding these exercises too difficult?
Further reading 6 is they are very long, and the grammar is very difficult. I found it very difficult. But your explanation, it really helps.
Okay, now we've gone through examples, so maybe this will help you figure out. Anyway, don't worry if you can't get passages, and we just work on it together.